Welcome back to Daybreak, guys. We got Dr. Paul Dale in to talk a little bit about skin cancer and some of the things you can watch out for this summer when the sun is beating down. You might have a problem with your skin. You might have something that needs to get checked out. The doctor's here to tell us all about it. Thanks for being here, Doc.
Well, thanks for having me this morning. Good morning.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about skin cancer here. It's something that I think everybody's heard about now, especially in the last 10 years or so. It's been talked about so much. So tell me a little bit about if you have a mole on your skin or something that you might think. Well, first off, let's talk about what could be skin cancer. That's a better question.
That's a great question. So everybody's got moles. And the question is, which moles do I have to worry about? And there's a kind of a rule of thumb of the A, B, C, D's, and E's of moles. A's being asymmetrical. If you've got irregular borders. The B is the border being irregular. And C is the color. If there's a color change or if the moles have a color change in them, they might be a little suspicious. D is the diameter. If it's bigger than it used to be taught that if it was bigger than the size of a pencil eraser, you might want to have it checked out.
Yeah.
And E might be the most important. E is the evolution of that mole, or is it changing? And that's very often what we'll ask patients is, you know, doctor, this mole's changed, it's starting to itch, it's becoming irregular, it's bleeding. All of those are signs that maybe you should have your mole checked out.
Interesting, and obviously with the sun beating down now in the summer, that's when you really have to worry about it. So if you feel like you have a mole that maybe needs to get checked out, how easy is it to get that checked out at the doctor? Is the test kind of hard to have, or maybe it's pretty easy, or what's
Actually, it's quite easy. And who can do it? You can go to your primary care doctor. Primary care doctors are well equipped to do a biopsy of a mole, and there's several ways of doing a biopsy. It's other than the little lidocaine they give to numb it up, and the little bee sting, shall we say.
Yeah.
After that, it's not that bad. And the goal is to get a deep enough biopsy to make sure the mole is not a skin cancer. The whole mole doesn't have to come off usually, but they'll just biopsy it. But very often a doctor can look at it and say, you know, that's really not that suspicious or that worrisome, let's just keep an eye on it. Now, you don't have to have a biopsy. So if you have a mole that's changing, you're worried about it, go to your primary care doctor and let them have a look, and then they could send you to a dermatologist or to a surgeon or whatever it might be if the concern is high.
That makes sense. And what are some of the types of skin cancer that we should be worried about?
Yeah, so there's three main skin cancers. The two that are most common are your squamous cell and basal cells. Squamous cell and basal cells are due to sun exposure. We're here in the weather, and we're going to get plenty of sunshine. So you want to avoid that sun exposure. You want to avoid blistering sunburns and things like that. So they're the most common. Then you get into the more dangerous one, and that's the melanoma. Melanoma is the one that everybody hears about.
Yeah,
it's the one, unfortunately, that 10,000 people die from every year in the United States. So that's what you don't want to have. That's the worst type. The other two are just treated usually by local excision. The melanoma, on the other hand, can go into the different 5 layers of skin. The deeper it goes, the higher the risk of spread. The higher the risk of spread, then the worse your prognosis. So find it early.
Yes.
That's the key.
Find it early. As the doctor said, make sure you go to your doctor if you do have something to worry about, and it's easy for your doctor to get checked out. Well, doctor, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have more Daybreak for you right after this. Stay tuned.